Hey guys, welcome to this introduction video to Leadership in Action Module 5. Now, as all the content and the whole simulation is in English, I'm going to do the video in English. But of course, in the actual groups where you will be working, you're free to use English, Norwegian, or any other language as you please. So, I have been teaching Leadership in Action for several years, and I am super excited to get a chance to work with you for this fifth and final module in a complete digital environment. And personally, I think that is really cool. So let's dive into the preview of what the Transform strategy simulation looked like. In this video, I'm going to take you through two different pieces. The first piece is an high-level overview introduction to Transform. The second is demonstrating the platform in which we are going to be working on. Now, of course, you probably already caught the preview that we had in module number 4. So what I'm covering shouldn't be brand new, but I still want to give you an update and make sure that you are ready for module number 5. So, Transform is really a hands-on experiential leadership development tool. And in Transform, we ask questions like, how do we develop deep transformational capacities? How do we develop more transformational leaders? How do we align diverse teams around the new theories and new principles of transformation? How can we help leaders and executive students just like yourself learn the importance of connecting strategy, transformation, finance into a single framework? And how can we build transformational companies that can change quicker and quicker through this situation-based, action-based experiential learning? And that's, of course, what Leadership in Action is all about. Now, I have about 20 years experience both in the consulting space, but also in the executive education space. I've been teaching and designing programs for big companies, small companies, diverse classes, from bachelor and all the way up to MBA and executive. Over the past 18 months, we have been applying this digital simulation, this digital transform simulation with boards, management team, innovation agencies, strategy leaders, executive education. I've been teaching it both in Silicon Valley. I've been teaching it in different places in the US. I've been teaching it in Europe. I've been training top-notch leaders from all over the world in how to work and how to use this Transform simulation in action. And now, my friends, it's your turn. This is what you're going to be seeing. We're going to be working in a complete digital space. We talked about in module number 4 in the preview introduction. We really encourage you to get at least one external monitor. You want to make sure you have 2 screens. And ideally, one of those screens should be big. In the upper left-hand picture here, you're actually seeing a laptop. That's with the Zoom where all the faces are on. Then you're seeing an iPad. Then you're seeing 3 different monitors showing slightly different parts of the overall digital simulation. Inside the digital simulation, you're going to find strategy canvases. You're going to find these boom and bust cards. You're going to find some pretty straightforward math you're going to be doing. But this is a digital immersive environment that we're going to be working in. Transform in 30 seconds. In Transform, you and your team take on the role of a new management team in an established company. Your job in this company is to transform the company, turn it around, reach a 50 billion market cap, and avoid going bankrupt. This, of course, is not as easy as it seems. Along the way, you have to navigate complexity. You have to make a lot of decisions. And many of those decisions are made on relatively short amount of time and with relatively little information. You're always going to want more time and you're always going to want more information, which you're typically not going to get. You have to make investment decisions. You have to make partnership decisions. Or you may choose to go full barbarians and just fight and compete with all the other teams around the table. You're going to be competing with a total of 7 teams, so yourself and 6 other teams. You're all in the same industry space, but you have very different strategies, very different strategy paradigms, and you have very different management attitudes. And it's going to be really important in your teams in this Leadership in Action program to decide, how do we want to run this? Are we going to be open and collaborative? Are we going to be protective and quiet? Or are we going to be hunting to kill the competition? Or maybe all of the above. Well, let's see. Now, how do you win? This, of course, is a key question. How do you win? The first team to reach a 50 billion market cap is the winner. And that means the first team that is able to grow and transform the company and reach a 50 billion company valuation on the stock exchange or the stock market is the winner. Now, what does that actually mean? It means that you have to make good strategic decisions under time pressure and with little information. You have to develop an innovation strategy. You have to develop a partnership strategy, or maybe not. You have to understand, how do we work with capital markets and investor relations? How do we make good investment decisions? Should we continue to invest around our old core business, our new growth, or our completely crazy and explorative explore areas? Where should we be putting our money and our resources? And of course, as your competition keeps getting better, you got to improve yourself as well. And you have to do it in a relatively time-pressured manner. Now, a couple of things that are really important. We're going to talk about the transform triangle. We're going to talk about your roles, but it really comes down to the team. So I'm super excited. This is the beating heart of transform. If you understand this, you're rapidly moving up your level of understanding for what is transform and how does it work. You are a new management team taking over an established company. You're going to have to make a lot of decisions. And those decisions are all going to fall into one out of these 3 areas. Number 1, profits. Should we be taking profits? We can make choices that very quickly give us a good cash flow. It allows us to beef up our balance sheet, and it gives us enough working capital. So profits, short-term cash, can be a big part of your strategy early on. Business model portfolio, or investing into the future. Now, once you understand how to invest in new business models, you realize that there's a different type of financial mechanisms in play. You can choose to invest into safe, slightly challenging, or very challenging business areas. And you don't always know how much money you're going to make from each of them, but you have a pretty good idea of what those investment decisions look like. Analyst ratings. So you are a publicly listed company, and when you start, you don't really know how you're doing, but it's pretty bad. As you proceed, you're going to get introduced to a lot of different financial analysts, and they have expectations, they have demands, and if you're not living up to their expectations and demands, they can issue buy ratings, outperform ratings, or if you're doing really bad, sell ratings or even crash ratings. Now, when you start, you don't really understand how these different mechanics work. And that's been modeled on real life, where a lot of the executives and a lot of the CEOs, a lot of the management teams I have worked with, as they're coming into a new company, they don't understand this either. But they're fast learners, and they work with their management team to make sure that they fully understand how much should we focus on our profits, how much should we focus on building out new business models, and how much should we focus on pleasing the financial markets. And that's going to be your challenge as well. The unit that we work with is what we call the company card. So here are some examples. And when we start on day number 1, you will be choosing your company card. Here we have Car Wagon, Jetways, and Lifebook. One is a mobility company, the other is an aviation company, and the third is a software company or social media software company. Here you can see there's a short introduction. There's a description of your task. You start with a cash balance of 5 million and 2 core business models. And you have a team, typically 3, 4, or in our case, 5 people. These are not going to be the company cards you're going to be using, but this is what a company card looks like. Short introduction, your task, your cash, your team, and good luck. Your roles, and this is really important. You have to decide on the roles, and unless you absolutely change them, those roles are locked in. We do not want to see, because this is leadership in action, my friends, we do not want to see people like floating in and out of different roles where you have a CEO who's doing all the work and everyone else is on vacation. So your roles are going to be very important. There are typically 4, in our case, 5 roles. CEO. The CEO is the team leader. He or she, hopefully she, has to make the team work. There's a lot of fog. There's a lot of difficult, incomplete information. The CEO needs to guide the team, call timeouts, call breakouts, make sure the team is working, make sure the team is communicating. You're going to have to set up a separate team communication channel. It's typically a WhatsApp or a Telegram or Messenger, but you need to establish a platform for communication and collaboration. Teams break all the time. It is the role of the CEO to make your team work. Number 2, CSO, the Chief Strategy Officer. This is a really, really crucial role. He or she handles all aspects of strategy, business model, and a lot of the work on the canvases. This is a multitasking role and expect you to be working a lot. But hey, that's what we're here for, right? CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, is in charge of the money, finance, capital market, previously also investor relationship, accounting, cash flow, valuation method, business model evaluation, and overall company valuation. It sounds like a lot, it is, but we're going to be guiding you. Day number 1, day number 2, day number 3, there's a lot of hand-holding and support for the CFO. We do recommend, though, make sure you choose a CFO that likes to count stuff. Investor Manager. Investor Manager is the 4th role. He or she will be running the innovation strategy and really working on the questions of how do we become a more innovative company. We also have a 5th role, which is the investor relations. Now, some teams may be 4 people, some teams may be 5 people. So the 5th role is the investor relation, and you will be managing all the work towards the capital markets and the investor relations. That starts out pretty easy on day number 1, but it gets really advanced on day number 2 and also into day number 3. So those are your roles. You can change them as you go. That's fine. But you have to make sure that everyone knows what is my role, what is my responsibility, and how do we perform together. Now, some of the things that you're going to experience. Transform is built on real life insights. I have worked inside the boardroom. I've worked inside management teams. I've worked very closely with CEOs in many countries, many industries, many companies around the world. So Transform is modeled on those insights. You and your team will take on the role of a new management team. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be making decisions under time pressure and time constraint. You're going to be exposed to strategic dilemmas, hostile competitors, difficult capital markets, and all the factors that a real-life management team has to deal with. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to break down as a team. You're going to get stressed. You're going to make bad decisions. You're going to blame everything else. I hope not. Very often we see teams unable to collaborate on strategy, unable to understand the business landscape, unable to handle tough competitors. This is completely by design. We have designed the simulation to replicate what it looks like in real life. But hey, you didn't join this program just to sit back and enjoy it, right? This is an advanced, experiential Leadership in Action module is going to be a lot of fun, and I'll guarantee you a lot of learning. Now, some of the outcomes that you can expect. So when we run Transform, afterwards we see better teamwork, more strategic leaders, they understand and think more strategically, stronger team alignment. A lot of people, they learn how to use new strategy frameworks and new strategy theories. They also learn to think differently about strategy and how do we become better leaders that are able to work more strategically. But the most powerful learning is really, okay, so we just went through a simulation, but what does this actually mean for me as a leader? And what does it mean for my company's strategy? And when we, after the simulation on day number 3, when we run the debrief session, I'm really interested to hearing what your outcomes are. Now, that's what I wanted to show you in this opening. Next, I'm going to take you inside the technical platform. I'm going to give you a quick tour of what the Transform platform looks like in practice. Let's go take a look. So now I've shifted. We are now inside the Transform Miro platform. And I've started where it says start here. Now, once you log in, probably in just a few days, this is what you're going to be starting with. Start here. Now, if you have been doing your training and if you have been working on your digital mastery, you should be quite comfortable with the navigation. But just to recap, the first part of the navigation is in the lower right-hand corner, just below my video here. You can see it says zoom. Now, this allows me to zoom out or in. And it's really important that you are comfortable with the zoom in and out functionality. So you can press the buttons, or you can use your control button plus mouse wheel, or you can use your plus and minus buttons on your keyboard. Next, you're going to be busy and you may get lost along the way. So if you need to jump back to where I am or where your team is, you can look at the upper part of my screen here. You see a small photo, that's me, with a yellow circle around it. Now, the color of the circle may change, but typically it's yellow or red. So if you click that picture, you're going to jump straight to my view. So if you are roaming around and you're saying, I have no idea where I am, I have no idea what I'm doing, just click my picture or click your team members' pictures and you'll jump straight to their views. And that, my friends, is why it's so important that all of you establish accounts on Miro. Make sure you have your real name and hopefully, ideally also a good photo, because your team members are going to need to be able to find you. So CEO, day number 1, if the team members on your team, they don't have name and photo, well, we're going to have a quick timeout and you need to get that sorted out. The last thing, and again, just a quick recap, is I'm going to go on the left-hand side of my screen. So you can see there's a menu here. You're going to be using a lot of these functionalities. These are common functionalities just like you find in PowerPoint or any other program. Pressing the first one here allows you to start interacting. So if you see my cursor now, it's a hand, and this allows me to hold my left mouse button and move things around. Now I'm moving the whole screen and I'm moving. If I switch, I now have a mouse cursor, arrow, pil på norsk. I can now start interacting. I can grab stuff and I can move it around. Switch back to the hand. Look, I can't grab anything, but I can move everything. So that's some of the key functionalities. Last thing that you may also going to want is the post-its. So if you look here, there's a sticky note, lots of good colors. I like the blue ones. I'm going to take this blue purple. I'm going to put it here and say, I am so excited to start this program with you. Now, zoom, jump to view, toggle cursor, and post-its. Those are some of the key functionalities that you're going to need. Now, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to jump out. So I'm going to zoom out here. Now you're seeing the full digital environment that we developed. This is where we are going to be working. Again, it's really important that you have completed your digital Miro training so you're comfortable with zooming in and zooming out. In the lower parts of this picture, in this region, this is the facilitator space. There is no reason for any of you to be roaming around there. We can see where you go. So if we see some people skipping down that space, we can nudge you out. Your focus should be here. I'm going to zoom in. This is the main board. This, my friends, is where the action is. In this setup, we have 7 teams. So here we have team number 1, drop zone, team number 2, drop zone, team number 3, 4, 5, 6, and then finally team number 7. So 7 teams with their drop zone. And the drop zones is where we will be handing you stuff, cards and money and tasks and canvases. And that's where we interact. Other people can see your drop zones. So as soon as you get some assets or you get some stuff, boom, you want to make sure you pull that back to your workspace. Your workspace is over this way. So here we have team number 1, drop zone, team number 1, workspace. Place your company card, define your 5 roles that we talked about, CEO, CFO, CSO, IM, and IR. And then we have a number of different worksheets, exercises, canvases, and instructions for you. I'm just going to show you very quickly. So all of these are laid out here for you to work on as we proceed. So this is the workspace, and you're going to be doing most of your work happening in that workspace. It may seem like a lot, but don't worry, we're going to be working through it step by step. I'm going to zoom back out again. And this is the view that we're mostly going to be working with right here. You can see it says facilitator only below this line. And then you have the setup, the simulation here. Now I'm going to go back to start. I'm going to walk you through really quickly the steps that you need as you're getting started. So we're going to fly back and then come back in here. Notice I'm zooming out, and I'm going to zoom back in again. And we are here. So when we start together, we're going to start here. And it says, welcome to Transform. We're going to go down. Here, step number 1, please select a character. So this is where you select your avatar, your character. So it's 1 per team, not per participant. So in our setup, we're going to have 7 avatars. We're not going to have 35 avatars. So in this case, I'm going to take this cool gentleman with the glasses. Then we have the company cards. Please select your company card. Move your character and company card to the side. Claim it as yours. All right. So I'm going to take this company card right here. This is now mine. Now I'm using the same functionalities on the keyboard as I normally would within, for example, Word or PowerPoint. So I'm going to take those. Congratulations, ready. Before we start, this is the team huddle. You are the new management team. Check. Agree on the roles. Check. Write your names. Company card. Okay, let's go get started. Find your workspace. Good luck. So I'm going to go down. And this is what you're going to be doing as well when we get started. So I'm going down. I'm following the arrow. Hello, arrow. I'm coming down to the board. I'm now at the center. So you noticed I took the company card, put that in here. So this is our character right here, handsome gentleman right there. I'm also going to copy paste him into the place your character. And I'm also going to put him on the starting line. Now, this gentleman is lined up for start. All right, that was easy. Next, we're going to do these company cards. So we'll move them to front. There we go. I'm going to zoom in. I'm zooming in on this company card. All right, so this is PO. PO used to be a Chinese battery maker. Today, PO is working flat out to become the world's leading EV company. Okay. Task: transform from a battery maker to next generation EV, achieve a 50 billion market cap on the Shanghai Stock Exchange. All right, so that's the company card for PO. Other teams will have other company cards. You start with a cash balance of 5 million and 2 core business models. And then we have the team. Fine. Okay, good. So now, when you get started, this is the first couple of exercises you need to do. You want to complete CEO, CFO, CSO, Innovation Manager, and Investor Relations Manager. You just type in here. Then you want to complete the idea of the firm card. The idea of the firm card is a high-level introduction to who are we and what are we doing, and what is the transformation journey that we need to go on. And you're working with your company card, and you will be making a lot of assumptions to complete the information you have in this case. Here we have the analyst rating cards. Those we're going to come back to later. Here we have the 5 million cash, so it's not a lot of working capital. Here we have the financial summary. So this is basically the accounting for the end of each year. So the CFO needs to keep track of the financials. But then we have this. These are important. These are your 2 active business models. That means that this is the revenue generating active part of the PO case. You want to bring them over. And this is the job of the CSO. Now I'm going to do Control X. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to move over to the side. Here we go. So this is what we call the active business models. These 2 business models are predefined to be operating. And as I'm zooming in on them, we're going to see a couple of things. So this first one says, this core business model is safe and sound, well-tested, runs smoothly in your established markets. It costs 4 million to operate, but it brings in 5 million in annual revenue. Now, this is important information. So what you may want to do is right here, you want to take a little sticky note and say, all right, 5 million. The revenue of 5 million. Cost 4 million. Profits 1 million. Now notice what I do next year. So I'm going to stick that on. And I'm going to group them. And this allows them to move around. The reason why I'm doing this is because you're going to be working with a large number of business models. And each of the business models will have slightly different financial model behind them. So you need to be able to keep track of what are the financial models you're seeing. Now I'm going to take another one. So here we have a new product within your old business model. Looks very promising. This product adds 500,000 in annual revenue to your core. Okay, so here we have revenue 500,000. But notice it says nothing about costs. 0. So profits 1. Now, these are the things you're learning as a new management team getting ready to take over this company. And this now means that you have an annual revenue of 5.5 million and an annual profit of 1.5 million. This is extremely important information once you start getting into your basic accounting, once you start getting into your basic financing, and once you start growing the company. Now, once you've completed these steps, and once you've been able to fly around, take a look at the different canvases, start reading what's on them. Let's see what this is. And then we have our final information right here. So CSO, place the business models in the active, yeah. CFO, count the cash. Innovation manager, finding canvases. Investor relation, start thinking about capital market, financial analyst, and CEO. And once you as a CEO realize, you know what, my team is ready. We're introduced, we're aligned, we've been discussing this. We recognize we're just getting started. We don't have all the answers. We may not even have a good strategy yet. That's coming. But we have set up our active business models. We've counted our cash. We have completed our idea of the firm card. We have completed the names. We have read and we understand the company card. Well, I think we're ready. And once we're ready, we're going to go to the goal line, starting right here. And once we have all 7 companies lined up, we are ready to start. We're going to roll the dice and we are off. And this, my friends, is how we're going to be working together in the Transform digital strategy simulation. Just like management teams, board, executive students, consultants and advisors all over the world have been working on Transform completely digital. So I'm super excited. You have a case study to read. You may also have a report to read. This is part of the new book that I'm working on. And I hope that we are going to have 3 intense, hands-on, challenging, but also in the spirit of leadership in action, very, very engaging days together. So my name is Chris. I look forward to working with you. I'll see you soon.